everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Positivity Project. I'm Joyly. This is a passion project that I started to help people who are undergoing, let's say, life's difficulties at this time by learning from the lives and interesting stories of some amazing people that I meet and I know. And for this week, I'm so excited to introduce you guys to a high school friend, si Tean. Thank you, Tean. Thank you so much
You're
for joining
welcome.
me. So just for those people who don't know Tean is Tean Jo. Ayusin natin yung name.
Okay.
Tean Magpaleja. Okay, that's her full name.
Mhm.
She is my high school friend. She's currently living in a city in South Korea called Iksan. Okay,
Yes.
with her husband and her son, her 5-year-old son. And she's currently working as an assistant professor in Wongpong University and currently taking her doctorate degree in English Linguistics.
Mm-hmm.
So nice to be with you.
Yes, and thank you also for inviting me, Joy. Thank you. It's an honor.
Okay, sige. Wag na natin patagalin to.
Yes.
I want to make the most out of your time. So let's start
Mm-hmm.
from the very beginning. Tell us how your life was as a kid and the sweetest memories you have of childhood in the Philippines.
Okay. Well, I'm from Muntinlupa City in the Philippines. I come from it's a big family actually. I have 6 more siblings in the Philippines. So I have 2 sisters and 4 brothers. So that makes us 7. Well, growing up, merong mga financial struggles. My father, kasi is the sole breadwinner in the family. He used to be a jeepney driver. And then my mom is a housewife. So basically, it's just my father who's supporting everyone. I think that's the reason why I developed a very strong sense of grit. You know, that's why I am very goal-oriented now, that if I want to do something, I have to make it. I have to do it this way, in my own way. Yeah, I think that contributed a lot because of my childhood.
So, and that really reflects your character. Doon din talaga kita nakita.
Yeah, I think so. Oo.
Sobrang nagre-reflect sa buong
Oh.
mo. Yeah, actually,
Yeah, I think napakapanganay, napakapanganay tignan or napakapanganay pakinggan,
totoo yan, totoo. From our high school days talaga, I know you as an intelligent, pero I also know you as warm and fun-seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the intelligence, you always make fun. Ay, masaya tayo ng high school. So
Yeah, that's true.
ang gusto kong malaman, and this is really interesting for me. Did you know back then that you were going to raise like a multicultural family? Or
No.
how are you seeing your future back then?
Actually, when I was younger, when I was a child, I didn't see myself being a married woman. Ayoko magpakasal talaga. Kasi nga, 7 kami magkakapatid. So, I was like thinking, I would be very selfish if I'm going to get married. Kasi I'm going to support, I know that I have to support my family until I die. I have to, not maybe financially or materially, but I have to be there for them emotionally. So I think it's not fair for my future husband at the time when I was thinking it, kung magpapakasal ako. So I was like praying, God, this is my choice. This is where I am right now. This is what I want. But if you're going to change me, if you have a different plan for me, and then I'm going to respect it. But at that time talaga, unang-una, ayoko talaga magpakasal. So that's why I was really surprised, no? Hindi lang yung mga tao sa paligid ko, but even I was surprised on how life, that turned into how I'm doing or living it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, hindi ko na masyadong nasubaybayan yung buhay mo after graduation. Can you tell us, so after graduation, how you met, how you came to meet your husband, and what happened after?
So after I had a high school graduation, so I took my bachelor's in English education. So after that, I started teaching in a traditional setting of a school. So it's a Montessori school in Muntinlupa. And then I got tired of the traditional setting. It was very exhausting for me because I was doing a lot of things at the same time. I think I was taking my master's. at the time. And then I was also supporting my family, doing part-time jobs. So I left the traditional setting. So I moved to the online teaching. So that's how I met my husband. My husband used to be my boss in the company.
Totoo.
Yes. And
That's fun.
I know. Nung pagbukas ko ng pinto ng office, I remember that was the first day ng trabaho namin. So when I opened the door, I saw him. And then I said, oh, I think there's something in him that I think may connection kami. So after that, and this is really true, I immediately prayed. I prayed for it. I said, God, I think there's a connection. I think you have to give it a chance. I think you have to open my heart. You have to open his eyes so that he could see me. So I really prayed for it.
Wow, and look how it got you after nun. What happened, di ba? Talagang, it's an answered prayer pala.
I know!
Nice. Sinabi mo na you were doing part-time job while studying, right?
Yeah, while studying.
So, paano mo na-juggle yung time mo, and what were the principles that you learned having that kind of life? I know it must be hard juggling time between work and study. What are the things that you want to share with those people who are who are in the same situation ngayon?
Well, at first, I think I'm really, really good at planning. And then that is something that I am parang nagagamit ko ngayon na nanay at asawa na ako. I'm really good at planning. I know how to prioritize things. I think that is one thing that you have to consider. You have to consider what are the things that you have to do in a long term or in a short term. So you have to list down things, as in literally you should have a notebook, you should have a pen or an Excel or a Word file, so that you can keep things on track. So what are the things you should do now? What are the things that you should do the next? So I think, yeah, you really have to plan. Second, you have to set your goals. So that's why, at the end of the day, you know if you accomplish something. At the end of the week, if you know you accomplish something. I think those things talaga.
And that makes sense. Kasi kung ganun ka busy yung schedule mo,
totoo.
Tapos marami ka pang priorities, sobrang everything can fall into cracks kapag di mo talaga siya nililista ng maayos.
Minsan nga, inaasar ako ng asawa ko because masyadong daw akong OA. Like for example, February, may trip kami to the Philippines. Grabe, October pa lang, nag-empake na ako. So, ganun ako ka-planner, ha?
Nanay na nanay din. Pang nanay din niya, characteristic na
ayoko talaga may makakalimutan. Yung may nakalista talaga ako. So, that's how I do things on my own, So, you do what works for you, but in my case, that works for me. Sa dami ng ginagawa ko kasi.
Yeah. And it says a lot kasi I think it will define later on, it will define yung success mo diba? Able to stay on top of those tasks. Okay, that's good. So let's go back to Zhang, okay, to your husband.
Okay.
Did you ever have doubts about marrying like a person with a different nationality? Ito, very, very curious. What were the challenges you encountered as a couple before getting married? And how did you overcome them?
Well, actually, nung mag-boyfriend and girlfriend na kami, hindi pa alam ng magulang ko. And I am very, very close with my parents kasi. So it was very, very difficult for me to keep that secret. It was very difficult, especially with my mom. So I was like, paunti-unti, sinasabi ko na, Ma, what if I fell in love or have a relationship with a Korean, ganyan. So, paunti-unti. So, giving them like a hint, But my papa talaga gave his very strong objections against the relationship. Sabi niya, I don't want, people might think, because in the Philippines, there still a negative concept or stigma about marrying foreigners. They would think that as a Filipina, you need a financial savior. You need someone to give you an automatic working visa in that country, right? And that is something that my papa doesn't want to happen. So he didn't want people to judge me as such kind of Filipina. So it was a very difficult process for him to accept that it's really love, that we really want to try, we really want to be in a relationship and try if we could bring it to marriage. So paunti-unti, I think it took us 3 months, 3 to 4 months bago officially my papa opened his heart, for Jan. And then sunod-sunod na. Once he opened his heart, sunod-sunod na nagkaroon na sila ng magandang usapan, na naging mas deeper pa yung relationship nila with each other. And now they're almost like best friends. So nakakatuwa.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oo nga, parang hindi ko rin kasi ma-imagine yung pagdadaanan mo breaking that stigma ngayon, di ba?
That's true.
Sobrang natin ganun na talaga yung, actually may mga kilala din ako na ganun din talaga yung tingin nila whenever they see a multicultural couple. Ayun na.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Well, thank you for telling. And then okay naman yung dad mo ngayon and Jong and
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect relationship. Ang papa ko nga nang sabi, ikaw, you have to be a good girl, Tean, ha? So
That's good. And then you got married, though, diba? So after kang ligawan, after ligawan ni Jang si Papa, you got married.
Yeah.
Wait, how long did it take you guys from that point to marriage?
2 years. We dated for 2 years before we officially tied the knot. Yes.
Okay. Has anything changed pre and post wedding before having son? Like, did you experience new challenges or difficulties from getting married to before having son?
I think, well, a lot of people would ask me the same question. Pero sinasabi ko, mas na-appreciate ko yung marriage namin. Mas nakita ko yung strength ng marriage namin. I would say the beginning of the relationship as boyfriends and girlfriends, those were the most difficult times of my life. It was whenever we're having conversations, we argue with little things because I have my own orientation about it and he has his own. So it was difficult. But now we were able to grasp each other's personality. So mas naiintindihan na namin, all the non-verbal and verbal cues na, alam ko na, galit na siya. Alam ko na, I have to be quiet. Alam ko na, I have to speak like this, So, mas nakita ko yung ganda ng marriage namin ngayon. At mas na-appreciate ko kasi na mas naging mabuting tatay. I mean, well, of course, na nakita ko siya in a different light, kasi tatay na siya ng anak ko And nakita ko na, mas nakaka-inlove pala. Mas naging sexy pala siya sa harap ko. Kasi mas hands-on, mas involved siya sa buhay ng anak ko. So, yeah.
That's good. So tingin ko, nag-pay off yung 2 years na yon kasi parang yung inyong, foundation ng inyong talagang...
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So, yung mga sinabi mo. Can you... na-curious lang ako Anong klaseng mga bagay yung... What are the differences na very, let's say, very strong between the two cultures na napansin to adjust
kasi,
to?
sa kanila, even though, I think in Asia naman, kasi for Asian families, it's, I think, automatic that we're very close, di ba? Pero kasi sa pamilya namin, yung closeness na e-extend sa relatives,
Oo, alam ko yan.
Di ba? Mga pisa, mga tito, mga tita. And that is something that he could not grasp, yung bakit kailangan, kasi sa kanila more of a nuclear-oriented family yung concern mo dapat But sa atin kasi, you have to extend it, So those are some things, kung may kailangan puntahan na birthday, why do we have to go there, there were some discussions like that. At I think before every week, Diyos ko, nag-aaway kami when we were, the relationship was still new.
Oo, totoo yan, Ang hirap.
Oo, ang hirap. If you really love the person, talagang kailangan, you have to stay and then understand, no?
So how did it help you grow then as a person, being with him for those 2 years, understanding him? What are your takeaways?
I think one thing is you have to choose your battles. Hindi lahat pinapatulan. Siguro kasi ako, panganay ako. Masyadong iba yung yung feeling ko, I have a different kind of concept of power, that I have like a tendency to boss people around me, especially that I'm also teaching. I'm always in the spotlight. But with your husband, you have to treat him as your equal. So not just when it comes to making decisions, but also the way you behave with him in front of other people, the way you talk to him in front of your child or in front of your in-laws. So yun, nakahanap ako ng sigurong katapat ko.
Literal na katapat
nakahanap ako ng katapat ko.
Totoo yan. And I think that's how marriage works naman din di ba? Kahit whether you're multicultural or not, kahit Filipino to Filipino, you'll still find those struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Hindi ko lang ma-imagine kasi nga, syempre, you both came from like different worlds but totally different worlds. And you have to bigla na lang kailangan mag-adjust, di ba? Parang, I admire you for that. Sige, as adults, let's see. I see you as a very goal-oriented person, and you've mentioned that to me. Tell us the principles you have learned right now, being a mother, being mother to Seon Woo, and also pursuing a professional career. How hard it is. What are your key principles that help you to stay sane and other things that you want to share with people who are also having that same battle right
now? When it comes to being a mom or with also being a career woman, I think Sona is not really an hindrance. I mean, Sono is, but with what I'm doing kasi right now, before without Sono, before having Sono, I just saw my students are just my clients, my students, my learners. But now that I am a mother, now I'm seeing them as my children too. So nagkaroon ako ng deeper connection with my students thanks to my son. So nakikita ko na I have to take care of these kids because they are also children of mothers, of parents. So nagkaroon na ako ng ganong pag-iisip, no? Yun. Yeah, well, it's really exhausting to have very challenging to balance everything. Just like right now, I'm trying to study, I'm trying to work, I'm trying to be a mom. So there are a lot of things I want to do at the same time. I think I have to give credit to my husband. Talagang he is the one adjusting for me talaga. So he is the one, ako na maghuhugas, ako na magluluto. So those are little things, right? That it seems a lot. It means a lot to you that you don't have to get up and then when you're focused on doing something talaga.
Totoo. And those little things really add up kasi kung ikaw gagawa nun, di ba? Kung ikaw gagawa ng mga menial things na yun, it could really take time. Kaya
totoo.
Sobrang masaya ako na ganun yung sitwasyon ninyo sa bahay where you both treat each other as equals and you take care of Seon Woo na as partners talaga. Kasi yan yung something na, let's see, that could really strengthen your bond then as a family, di ba?
Yes.
I'm curious, what's your daily schedule like at home? And ano yung mga or how do you find fun sa bahay with your family, with Seon Woo and with Jang?
Well, a typical day, siguro pag may pasok, kasi ngayong bakasyon na sa Korea in our university. Pero pag may pasok kasi So Seon Woo would go to the daycare. So we usually prepare everything before he goes to the daycare. And then we all leave the house at the same time. No, my husband leaves the house in the afternoon because he is also teaching. He's an English teacher here in Iksan, in our city. There. So actually, most of the bondings happened at the dinner. So when we eat dinner together, so that's how we talk about what happened in our days. And I think that's the most important part of our day. Breakfast, seeing each other in the morning, saying goodbye, and then having dinner together. Talaga sa gabi.
Yeah, totoo yan. At yung mga you will see when you ako as I have an 8-year-old kid, nakita ko rin na yung mga meaningful conversations happen during mealtime. So it's
That's
nice
true.
to have that practice. Now I want to ask you how you are raising Sanu. So we know he's half Korean, half Filipino. What are the challenges or the toughest challenges you want to share of raising a multicultural kid, and how do you deal with them?
It was difficult at first. Actually, when I gave birth, Sona was born in the Philippines kasi. So we just moved here when he was already 6 months old. So which means he is already, in the process of learning words, diba? So 6 months. Tumira kami with my in-laws, with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. So nasa isang bahay kami for 2 years. No? Before we separated, we moved to our own house. It was the most difficult time of raising Sonu, because whenever like we try to talk in English, and then they will try to talk to us in Korean, and then try to bond with the same language. Of course, we had no choice but to speak Korean. At the time, my Korean was very, very bad. It was really bad. Like I knew just 2 expressions and that's it, or just sometimes I would just say yes, no, maybe. So parang Pinoyenyo lang, So that's it, that was my Korean before. So it was really difficult for me. So yeah. And then my husband and I, what's good is that we made a plan. Okay, so that is how we are going to raise Sonu. We are going to make him a simultaneous bilingual. So he is going to learn English and then Korean at the same time. Well, when we talk about that plan with his parents, medyo hindi sila accepting yet with that plan. They said, Sonu, there might be confusion, there might be language or speech delays in his part. So I think for the last 3-4 years, it was difficult for them to understand the concept of being a bilingual child and the concept of being in a multicultural family. So yes, in our marriage and our part, it was a strong plan, but making the people understand what we're trying to do and what kind of marriage we're trying to carve, I think that's the most difficult part of it.
And how did you so you mentioned upuan nyo talaga, ito yung plano natin.
Yes.
Paano nyo in-execute yung plan yon, and how was the receiving part of it? Paano siya ni-receive ng family, ng in-laws mo?
The art of war is that you really have to prepare for it. I mean, you have to anticipate for like future questions or rejection. So you have to really
nag-research ka.
Yes. Di ba nerd mom?
Nafe-feel ko na nag-research ka. So
muntik pa nga ako mag-cite according to Brown 2009.
Open ba rin?
Yes. So yun, before naman we talked to his parents, so we talked as a couple, we had a really nice conversation. We planned how are we going to go about Sona's transition from being a bilingual child. So in our house, English to Korean outside. And we talked about the possible consequences. So there might be confusion at some part. There might be a phase wherein there will be delayed. Delayed in the concept that he might be compared sa mga companions niya with his friends who are monolinguals, and then their vocabulary, their words are like larger or more than my son. So pinaliwanag namin yun na ito yung mga dangers or possible consequences, but you don't have to be worried about that. It's natural, it's normal. He is going to pass it. I mean, he is going to be okay. And yeah, now 5 years old, my son is 5 years old, and it seems like it's just automatic. It's very automatic to switch from one language to another. And I'm very happy to say that my in-laws are very happy with that. And yeah, they're actually very proud of my son, being a bilingual like that.
That's good. In terms of traditions naman, or yung mga culture that you want to retain, Filipino and Korean, ano yung plans or ano yung goals ninyo of the traditions you want to keep in raising son? Did you
Uh,
sit down and talk about it kayong dalawa? Tapos
yes.
may research ulit.
Oh, well, in our family, there's always a research. Especially kung nandito ako.
So
Yes.
yeah, tell me about it. Tell me what your plans are in raising him. Kung ano yung mga nakikita niyo sa kanya when he grows up, 'di ba? Kasi because that along the line, down the road, ano yung mangyayari sa kanya, ano yung plano natin for him. Ganon.
Yes, that's right.
About it, I'm so interested.
Yeah, actually, if you are raising a multicultural family, planning is really a key. You really have to sit down, talk, and then plan. As in visible plans that you can see, plans that you are willing to take part in. You know, I mean, you have to respect those plans. So aside from being a bilingual, we talked about that Sonu will be exposed to Filipino from time to time. Well, the good thing is that my husband had lived in the Philippines for almost 7 years, so that was a long time. So he is very familiar with the Filipino language, Filipino culture. So we were like the cultural models for Sonu. So hindi lang ako. So I didn't feel alone at that concept naman. And then second, food. I think that is the most visible way, right? Obvious way of connecting with your culture. So food, not just the usual adobo, but we use the sinigang, the munggo, the binagoongan. So even the stronger taste, I wanted him to try it. So he's very acquainted with it. So every time we'd go back to the Philippines, you know, he will not be requesting a different kind of food because he's okay with the Filipino taste. So that is something I'm very proud about him naman.
That's good. That's good. How about your his schooling? So plan niyo ba siyang i-enroll sa, di ba may mga ganon, yung parang international school or versus the Korean school? May ganon. May ganun.
Yeah.
Kasi dito merong ganun eh. Yung mga international school na multicultural kids or a pure Filipino school or a pure American school.
Yeah, well, what I'm doing right now, kasi since Sono attends a Korean, that's the traditional daycare. So as in everything, the medium of instruction is in Korean. So what I do is that I do extra tutorial for Sono. So right after when he comes back from the daycare, and we start doing tutorials. I teach him every day. So subjects like math, English, and then science, and then a little bit of Filipino using English language. So may extra tutorial siya with the nanay. Kasi ayoko, so I want him to review. It's just a review lang naman, to review the subjects, but in a different language. So he would still be familiar. We want him, I think I want more than my husband, kasi na, for him to study in the Philippines, maybe for high school. So that is what I'm preparing him for. I want him to study, to go to the Philippines, to be immersed, in the culture, to really have a first-hand experience with the culture. So that is what I'm praying. I hope it would happen in the future, that he would really study in the Philippines and he would choose to study in the Philippines.
Oo, kasi mahirap din pilitin mo, ano?
Kaya nga so sabi ko, I hope he will choose. I always praying for that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Tayan. Sobrang dami kong natutunan sa'yo. Sobrang dami. And I'm so glad that we had this talk. Although I'm not married to a different citizen or ibang pero I learned about marriage and strengthening relationships and raising kids. It all plays a part.
And researching.
Totoo yan. Sige, just last question na lang, Tan, before I let you go. What final thoughts do you have or things that you want to share about raising a multicultural family and some of the principles that you want to impart for those people who are in the same situation, who are struggling to make it work?
Well, I think nabanggit ko na kanina, the importance of planning. So you really have to sit down and then plan. And then second is that do not be afraid. Huwag kang matakot, na makipagsapalaran, to explore with your child, Nung dumating ako dito sa Korea, I don't know, I could not read, the Korean. So it was difficult for me to go out alone, to ride the bus alone, to eat by myself. So do not be afraid of that. Huwag kang matakot. Grow with your son, you explore with your son, and make mistakes with your son, with your child, You try to explore food together, you try to read books together and be surprised with the cultural values in the book, So explore, learn, and do not be afraid to make mistakes when it comes to being in a multicultural family.
Wow. Yeah, it's all about finding what works best for you. Diba? I think
That's true.
and then that's what really matters. Kahit ano pa yan, but finding what really works for you is what matters. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you so much, Fan. And know that I am so proud of you. And
thank you.
so
Thank you,
amazed
Joy.
with your
Salamat.
decision. I admire you. Hands down. Thank you so much. Sige, thank you so much for making the time for this interview. And have a good night. Thanks, Dad.
Good night.